Hey everybody, what moves people? What drives them from point A to point B? What kind of thinking are they engaged in? What kind of motivated reasoning are they engaged in when they decide to give their time, their money, their attention, their love to really anything? It's among humanity's oldest and most basic questions. It is a question that motivates massive billion-dollar industries, industries devoted to dating like Match.com, industries devoted to advertising, like the entirety of the advertising industry, social media, what gets people to click on things, what gets people to engage with things for more than just 5 seconds, but instead to read an entire article, to watch an entire YouTube video, to then try to influence others and share it, text it, and send Snapchats to their friends. And then the entirety of the world of politics, me wondering what motivates this or that voter to make this or that decision, a political campaign, or a nonprofit trying to get somebody's time, money, and attention towards a good cause, whether it's from one of the major parties or towards helping kids who have cancer and advancing research for childhood cancer and good causes like that. In any case, my point is that this question of what is persuasive, what kind of messages are influential, what do people need to see, hear, believe, and feel to give their time, money, attention, and love to one concept is among the most important questions human beings have ever asked. And there is no hard and fast answer. In fact, one of the things we'll try to do over the course of this course is to survey the different answers to that question. What is persuasive? What is persuasion? And then what is persuasive? Today we're going to focus on one of the oldest theories, the oldest theory that we have a complete written set about that answers that question, and that is from ancient Greece. Many of the ancient Greek thinkers, from Socrates to Plato to the folks called the Sophists, and the Sophists were just a traveling group of communication consultants, essentially, in the 4th and 5th century BCE, who grew up around Athens and began trying to teach rich men, typically, how to be more persuasive in public, how to argue for themselves in what was then a growing democracy. Athens had become a democracy in 507 BCE, and over the next 2 centuries, you see various different schools of thought emerging on how to teach eloquence, how to teach persuasion, how to teach excellence in public speaking. Aristotle, who we're focusing exclusively on over the course of the 3 lectures this week, was a member of that tradition. He grew up as Plato's student and then as Plato's colleague when they co-taught at a lyceum around 350 or so BCE in ancient Greece. And one of his central contributions to the study of persuasion, his sort of lingering contribution to the study of persuasion, is that speakers, and he was talking specifically about speakers because this is obviously well before the printing press and mass writing, and so if you wanted to get the word out, the best way to get the word out in the absence of just easy to use paper or printers was, of course, a massive public speech or a play or something along those lines, where your voice was reaching people's ears. In any case, his ideas have been adapted over the last 2 centuries, or excuse me, 2 millennia or so, to focus on all sorts of written and performative arts, not just the art of the public speech. But when he was talking and he was writing specifically about the object of public speech, his central contribution was the study of rhetoric. And what he said is that the most successful speakers are successful because they have engaged in rhetoric, and he defined rhetoric as the observation of the available means of persuasion in any given circumstance, which is to say that the most successful rhetoricians, people using rhetoric, are able to be situationally aware. They can get into this environment and see that the available means of persuasion are different than in this environment. The second contribution he makes to the study of what is persuasive over the course of the last 2 millennia or so is reverse engineering, which is to say the most successful persuaders don't just stand up and try to make their case. They don't just sit and figure out and outline exactly how they want to make their case and then stand up and make their case and then sit down. Instead, they work backwards. They reverse engineer their act of persuasion by thinking about the audience first. What do they need to see? What do they need to hear? What are their current beliefs? What are their resistance points to where they might be hostile or at least indifferent to the message that you're offering? And then working backwards to figure out what you need to say to that audience, right? So what Aristotle does is to put the audience first in the act of persuasion. You can't persuade anybody by banging them over the head with just your ideas and not engage them on their beliefs, making them feel like you have their best interests in mind, or this is in their best interest to buy a car from you, hypothetically. But instead, you start from their belief system and then speak to them in their language. Identify with your audience. The third contribution, and the one that was really going to motivate our pursuits in these three lectures, and these three lectures are all about three different Aristotelian concepts from one book. The book is called The Rhetoric. Some people call it On Rhetoric. Some people call it the Treatise on Rhetoric. It's from the 4th century BCE. We're going to talk about it as Aristotle's Rhetoric. And the concepts here are, he said that the best speakers, the most persuasive speakers, consistently use three different types of appeals. Ethos, which of course is an appeal to character or reputation. Logos, which is an appeal to logic or good reasons in the audience, the use of the best evidence possible to motivate you to do whatever it is that I hope that you'll do. And then finally is pathos, or an appeal to the audience's emotions. And not just emotions like sadness, but emotions like happiness, their aspirations for their life, things that make them feel good inside, if they can imagine themselves as this or that group of people. Right? So those are Aristotle's major contributions. They're all coming from this one big treatise, Aristotle's Rhetoric. From that treatise, which is many different ideas about how to be persuasive, we're going to focus on just three for this week: ethos, pathos, and logos. And what you'll find over the course of these three lectures, as well as every lecture in this course, is that I'll often open with an explainer video and then come back or two once or twice with a middle video and an ending video where appropriate. So that's what you can sort of expect in these prezzies, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts.